Why is it doing that? So let me go ahead and start that. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited that you're here. I have Alexa Height with us today from the library, and she has some really exciting things to share, some awesome resources that I don't think a lot of people know about. And if they do know about it, maybe they're not utilizing them effectively. So I'm going to let Alexa go ahead and take it away. And if you have questions, I will be monitoring the chat, so feel free to type those out. Or Alexa, are you okay if they unmute themselves and ask questions?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I'm going to start with a question of my own.
Awesome.
And that is, if you wouldn't mind sharing, either unmute yourself or put in the chat, either what college are you from or what program are you doing? And that might help us kind of tailor some of what we look at to what might be beneficial to you in what I go over. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, again, you can unmute yourself or put it in the chat. And in the meantime, I am going to start sharing my screen.
Well, I am in the Science and Engineering
College of Science and
department.
Engineering. Okay.
College, yeah.
Nice. Soon to be 2 colleges, which is kind of crazy. Okay, I can definitely work with that. And actually, my example was College of Science and Engineering because I am one of the liaisons to that college. So I am going to start off by showing y'all some online resources that we have, how to find things, how to access library resources that might be beneficial to you in your academic career. And then I will also be showing you, if we have time, which I believe we will, a citation management software, which will hopefully save you time and effort when it comes to writing your thesis or your dissertation or your capstone project, keeping track of all of those resources that you utilize. So I am here on the library's homepage, which is tamucc.edu/library. If you're on any institution webpage, if you scroll down to the bottom of any TAMUCC website, we should have formalized headers and footers. And so if you're on a university page, under the social media icons, we have a link to the Bell Library. You can also just Google TAMUCC Library, and that will take you to the library's homepage as well. So just a few things about our library website to kind of familiarize you, or maybe point some things out you don't know about, or just, some general reminders. We like to say that we are here for you to ask us questions, here to help you find resources. We are here for you. So we want you to ask us your questions. So we have this whole Ask Us area where you can chat with us, call us, text us, email us, or contact your librarian. And if I click on this one, I actually come to this FAQ page. So this can be very helpful too if you, you can just type in, if you're looking for printing information, Wi-Fi information. Sometimes if it's a frequently asked question, those common questions we get, we might have an answer for you. But if you are unable to find your question here, again, you can chat with us, call us, text us, email us, or contact your librarian for a research appointment. And so this we offer either in person or online like this, the Zoom, either individually, or if you have a group project, we can meet to discuss resources if you're having trouble finding resources for your topic. And you can either click on your college, or scroll down. So for example, if I click on College of Science and Engineering, my colleague Eric and I are listed. As I mentioned, I believe the College of Science and Engineering is soon to be College of Science and College of Engineering, in which case we might be separated because our departments are pretty much, Eric has life science, physical and environmental, and I have computer sciences, engineering, GIS, and math and statistics. And that's not to say that, Emily Metcalf, my colleague, couldn't help you out. It just means that Eric and I, might be more in the know in terms of what resources or what databases you should be using for your various topics. So we do have an identified librarian who is an expert in resources for the various colleges, and sometimes in a college like liberal arts where it's so diverse, we have several librarians, and Jennifer got the short end of the stick with more departments than the rest of them. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, is that there is a librarian for you to help you. So after today, if you're having trouble identifying resources or getting access to something that you think you should have access to, you can contact us. And again, you can also just chat with us and call us, and that service is available 24/7, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. The people on the other end of that are going to be TAM-UCC graduate students and librarians. The rest of the time, it will be a librarian, just not a TAM-UCC librarian. So they still are information specialists. They just might not be aware of, our special programs or the resources we have access to, but they should be able to get you started. Okay, so that's Ask Us. I also want to point out in the middle of the page here, we have this resources for, and then we have several links. And so under graduate students, this is kind of just a listicle, but it can be a resource, if you're like, what is out there for me as a grad student? We have links for computers, study rooms. You might hear my dog fighting. He wants his dinner. I'm sorry about that. Quiet study area, I Create Lab, events in the library, etc. Using the library, that can be helpful. How many books can I check out? Things like that. Or can I get something from another library if we don't have that? And I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in a little bit. And then there's the research area. And so here's my cat. We have questions. Again, Ask Us, finding library materials, databases, research guides, journals, and scholarly communication, which is my title. And we will go into a little bit more detail about just about all of these things here. Specifically, I want to talk about research guides. And this is one way to access the research guides. There is also, from that library homepage, there is a quick button here, which is research guides under the quick search bar. And research guides are kind of like little library web pages that a librarian has put together on a particular topic, or sometimes for particular classes. A lot of these will be classes for undergraduate classes, so students who are just beginning their research. But we do have just general research guides. So if you aren't familiar necessarily with the chemistry databases or how to find articles for chemistry, this might be a good place to start. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well, because we do have a lot of access. We have a lot of resources. We have access to so many resources, and sometimes it can be hard to wade through everything and to know where to go to get started with your research. So we also have databases, which again, so if you're searching in the library's quick search, this is searching everything that the library has access to, as well as things that we might not have full text access to. So we might not have that PDF copy that you need, but it will have everything but the PDF. And so it will discover articles or book chapters or dissertations that can help get you started with the abstract. And the references are often available, but the document itself might not be available. And so we can often get that for you through Interlibrary Loan, which again, I'll talk a little bit more in detail about. I'm going to just click on databases here real quick. And this can be helpful because we have over 300 databases, and sometimes that can be extremely overwhelming. How do I get started? And again, if you don't know how to get started, you can ask us. We have a lot of ways to get in touch with us, but you can use this subject dropdown to say, okay, show me the databases in education, for example. And we have 40 databases related to research and education. And we have some best bets, which are kind of generic but helpful databases. And then if you keep scrolling down after the best bets box, we will also have a continued list of databases. And then of course, your librarian should be listed on the right as well, so that you can get in contact with them if you're still having trouble researching. So that is a very basic intro on our libraries Ask Us, our research guides, and our databases. Now I'm going to show you yet another button, which is journals. So you might have, you might find a journal that in your area, you want to keep track of what's being published in a particular journal. You might have professors who say, you should publish in this journal, so you should really be researching what's in this journal. So if you want to know, does the library have access to that journal? It's really pretty easy to search. If you want to know, do we have access to Nature, for example, it will show you what journals we have with that name in particular. And you can see here, Nature from Nature Publishing Group. We do have access. Some of it we have available in print in the library physically, and some of it we do have access to online. And you might need to sign in to see the complete results, as well as actually request things. Before you search as well, you can also browse by category. So if you don't know, I'm looking for the journal Nature, but okay, what are our journals that are in health and biological sciences? Well, we have access to 10,915, but as you can see here, once I clicked on that, it also brought some more, narrowing down a field within health and biosciences. So you might know, okay, I'm looking for occupational therapy and rehabilitation. What journals do we have in that area? And that might help you find some journals. Again, this is journal titles, so this isn't going to be specific article titles, but if you want to keep track of a journal, you can browse for a journal using that option there. So I'm going to just go over briefly how to do searching in the library's quick search database. And some of this might be very repetitive for you. Maybe I might show you something that you haven't seen before, or forgot about. That's often, if I don't do this regularly, I will forget about the options that I have. So as you can see, when I click into the quick search box, and again, this is searching everything that the library has access to. So it's not only physical materials, it is physical and electronic materials. As you can see under Refine Your Search, we have articles, books, films, music, and audio recordings. And then I can also limit things to things like peer review, full text online. I can also use the more search options, which rather than having one search box, I can have multiple search boxes. So if I know I'm looking for a certain author, I can search that way. I'm just going to show you a quick keyword search. I did this earlier: sustainability and climate change, as an example of something that I'm researching. And so when I search for that, as you can see, I have over 600,000 results. That's a lot. I don't want to wade through that much information. But there are several quick things I can do to help narrow my list down pretty quickly. We have these filters on the left-hand side for refining your search. And so I can quickly, click on peer reviewed so that I'm only getting articles that have gone through the peer review process. And that gets me 350,000, still a lot. But if I scroll down here, so conference proceedings, some conferences are peer reviewed, some books are peer reviewed, but if I am just looking for journal articles, I can quickly include that. Publication date, depending on your field, the sciences or, medicine, you probably want something from more recent years than, say, history or the humanities, where the publication date isn't necessarily as important. So I can say, I only want the materials from the last 5 years on sustainability and climate change, for example. I've already narrowed down quite a bit. If I go back up to my results list, I have 143. But there are also subject areas. So, sustainability, that might be in relation to economics. Sustainability and climate change, I might be looking for engineering or environmental sciences. So that can also quickly narrow things down depending on your field or your area of study. Subject headings do something similar. I will say that it kind of gets confusing because it seems pretty similar. Subject area is kind of a more general term or heading, whereas subject headings is going to be somebody like a librarian or person working for a database, or perhaps the author themselves have said that my work fits under the subject heading of environmental sciences, which are going to be a little bit more specific, generally speaking, than just the subject area. And we're kind of general right now in terms of our keywords. So those subject areas and subject headings were pretty similar as well. I am going to just do this quickly. I'm going to put climate change in quotation marks so that those words are in quotes together. And by doing that, I don't know if you noticed, but I just went from over 100,000, over 143,000 results to 99,000. So in the grand scheme of things, there are still a lot of things in my results list, but by putting that phrase climate change in quotation marks, I am telling the database that I want those two words to show up next to each other rather than somewhere in my somewhere in the results. So either in the title or in the abstract, the word climate or change could have showed up somewhere before. But by putting it in quotation marks, I'm saying I want that as a phrase, those two words to show up somewhere together. Again, we do have these options. I just clicked on, sorry, go back. Oh, it's not going to let me show you that. Sorry. From here, from the top before, oh, back to results. There we go. Sorry about that. Sometimes I do things before saying I'm changing something. So in the search bar, if I click on the options, it will bring me to this page where rather than the filters being on the left, I kind of have them spread out here for me. And so I can say, I actually want the subject heading to be sustainability, for example. And I want a subject heading to be, or I want it in the abstract. I want the term climate change. And that can also narrow things down because you're saying specifically where things are going to show up. So as you can see there, I very quickly narrowed things down to under almost 6,000 results. That's still a lot, but my terms sustainability and climate change are pretty general as well. I could look at, thinking about a time period or a geographic location, or again, sustainability. Am I talking about economic sustainability, green sustainability? What does that exactly mean? I can narrow things down that way as well. The library's quick search has a lot of other additional tools for you. You can use this, save this item. So as you're scrolling through and looking at things, you can save the items, and then at the end, you can look at all of your saved items. This is a by session use only. So if I exited out my browser and came back, I wouldn't have these saved results. But this can help, if I have 5,000 results, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I can save some of them and come back to them. We also have a permanent link option. So if you want to copy and paste the link for your use later, you can do that. I'm going to pause for a second. And if you have any questions at this point in time, let me know. put them in the chat or unmute, and I'm just going to pause for just a minute. Sorry, my dogs are feisty. It's almost dinner time for them. I also have a citation option. So I can choose a citation format. The library's citation generator has a handful, quite a few. Later, when I talk about citation management software, I'm going to show you that there are many, many more options. But here we have APA, Chicago, and MLA, as well as some others, but those are most often the ones that you will be asked to use or you will see. And actually, Sophia, I had a question for you. If you know, in their theses and dissertations, is it a, for ProQuest, is it a blanket that everyone uses the same thing, or does it vary by college or department?
Yeah, it's going to vary by college or discipline. So really, we're just looking at like margins and whatnot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't know if it was College of Graduate Studies had, you know, a blanket one, or if it did depend on the college or department. So
yeah,
that was something I was wondering.
We just kind of look at where their college or their discipline is, and then we kind of just base it off what the norm is for that department.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, depending on your professor, depending on your discipline, college, you might be asked to use a various citation format. So I just chose APA 7th edition. That is the most recent edition for APA. And I have a preview. So what I often tell students is that they can copy and paste it. Once they do that, they should look at, you know, like hanging indents, because copy and paste is not always going to format correctly. Things like, you know, is the things that are supposed to be italicized, are they italicized? Things like that. You can also export the citation, and we give you several options, including Zotero, which I will show you in just a few minutes. But we also have RefWorks, and I don't know. The thing about Zotero that I like is that it is a free citation management system. RefWorks, we do have access to institutionally, but it's one of those, once you leave the institution, it gets tricky as to if you can access what you've saved in RefWorks. Whereas Zotero is a free citation management system. So if I leave the institution, I can take my Zotero library with me, which is why I use Zotero, even though it can be problematic, as I've learned in the last couple of days. But that is one way to cite your items and save those citations. You can also email this item either to yourself or to, if you're working in a group or something like that. And then we have more actions here, which is honestly just a faster way to export it rather than go to cite, pick the citation format, and then export. It's just a faster way of doing that. If you can see here, this tells me that I have the full text access to this article. And so if I click on the link, and I am off campus, so let's see if it asks me to log in. No. So sometimes it might be because I logged into something else before I got on with y'all. But if you are off campus and you go from the library's website to an external database or journal, it will often ask you to log in. That is just your Blackboard login, how you log into computers on campus. It should all be the same login. But that is, we ask you to log in from the library's resources rather than going to Science Direct and trying to log in, because it is easier for us to authenticate you by just going from the library's resources or from Blackboard to the library's website, because that's just helpful for us. So here, Elsevier was causing trouble with Zotero, so we will try to use Elsevier. This is a journal article published in the journal Ocean and Coastal Management, which is owned by the publisher Elsevier. But as you can see, I have the full text access. If I want to view the PDF and download the PDF, I can do that. We also have the option of downloading the full issue. With journals, that isn't necessarily, the next article might not be on the same topic as this particular article. But if you are trying to keep up with the literature of ocean and coastal management, downloading the full issue might be of interest to you. So we did have that full text on that one, but I wanted to show you on the second option. It just tells me I have a citation online. And so this is where if I click on this, it tells me I don't actually have access to this article, but I can request it through Interlibrary Loan. So something that we want to stress to everyone associated with the university, whether it's staff, students, faculty, don't pay for access to information, because the library pays for access to a lot of information. And if we're not currently paying for that access, we want you to request it through us, because your tuition dollars go to the library's resources, as well as if we do need to pay another library to get a copy of an article from them, you're already paying for it through your tuition. So don't then, if you come across an article you really want, but they're saying it will charge you $40 or $50, go through Interlibrary Loan instead. And this is why searching through the library's database is easier than, finding it out on Google and then going to the Interlibrary Loan site, because once I've found it in the library's quick search and I've clicked on request from Interlibrary Loan and I've logged in, and again, that is going to be your Blackboard login. If you haven't used Interlibrary Loan before, you'll have to set up a profile. But once you've set it up, you shouldn't have to, change your password or anything like that. It should just be your Blackboard login. We did just update our Interlibrary Loan offering, or ILL offerings. So you might have to, if you have used Interlibrary Loan before, just update your profile. It's just going to ask you questions as to whether you want to pick things up on campus or have them shipped directly to you. If you have questions about that, let me know. But this is telling me, this is our auto-populated all of the information that I need to make the request. So I don't have to type things in or copy and paste the information that I need to ask our Interlibrary Loan department to get this article for me. As you can see on the top, it does say article request 2+ business days for arrival. However, I have gotten same day delivery before. Of course, I work pretty much Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and our ILL department pretty much does as well. So same days, like I requested it in the morning and I got it in the afternoon. If you're working on the weekends or late at night, it might be a couple of business days to arrive, as they say. But it is pretty easy to make that request. Honestly, it was just a few clicks, right? I don't have it, bummer, request from Interlibrary Loan. And then I scroll down and hit submit request if I want access to it. Sometimes if you are in another database, it will, if that database doesn't have full text access, it will check our other databases for to see if our other databases have access to it. So for example, I'm going to go to the database Web of Science, which is not a full text database, meaning that not everything that they list will have that PDF attached to it. But I might discover, articles that I really want to get access to. And of course, they just changed their look and feel. So I had to click out of that. Okay, sustainability. I say accept, add proxy. Okay, so this is a database just like the library's quick search database. It has a lot of the same options. Because I don't know if all of y'all are related to science, I'm not going to go through it too much, but there are some fun quick filters in here, like highly cited papers. So what papers are really hot in the field, hot papers as well. Associated data, if you need articles with data to look at, that can be really helpful as well. And Web of Science isn't the only database that has this. But what I wanted to show you is, okay, do I have full text access? I'm going to click to see if we have full text access through the library, and it is going to now talk to the library's database, that quick search, and see if we have access to it. And it turns out that we do, and we actually have it in 2 different places. If that doesn't work though, it will then take me to that Interlibrary Loan page, and I can quickly request it through Interlibrary Loan. Okay. Another suggestion that I have in terms of just doing research, especially when you are beginning. So now we are in an EBSCO host database. We do have full text access to this particular journal. As you can see, they have their subject terms listed here, as well as these are author supplied keywords. So subject terms is the vocabulary controlled by this database. So whereas the author supplied climate change in lowercase, they're saying they're controlling it with climate with a capital C. But so these are hyperlinks. So I can click on climate change and get access to all of the articles with that same subject term in this database. Of course, they might not be the same relation in terms of climate change and sustainability, which is where I started, but I can look at how many articles are supposedly about climate change in this one database. Another thing is, even if you don't have the full text access to an article, so for example, when we were in Web of Science, I still had the cited references. And this is where a lot of folks can get access. You know, if you find that one article that is almost perfect and it has all of the information that you want and you want to know more, looking at their citations is a great way of doing that easy research of finding who did they cite, where did their information come from. Obviously, they probably, you know, if it's an original research paper, they did their own study, but their literature review might, you know, reference to other studies similar that they built they built on top of. Web of Science and other databases will also have, it might tell you who has cited the article as well. So this article here has 13 citations. So they have been cited 13 times. And then they also have 77 references within their article itself. So sometimes research is kind of like a scavenger hunt of finding that one article and then going backwards in terms of looking at their references and going forwards and looking at who has cited them as well. And Web of Science and other databases, you can also create citation alerts. So you can create a citation alert here, and that means that if this article is cited, you will get an email telling you that. I have a citation alert set up for Web of Science so that I know when TAMUCC authors publish an article. And that's just another part of my job. But so you can kind of create citation alerts by subject or by author, things like that, which can be really helpful in saving you time going back and looking at, has my author published recently, things like that. Okay. Sorry, my cat just freaked out. One thing that you might come across is, I clicked on the right thing again. I'm going back to databases. Is a journal peer-reviewed? Sometimes it can be hard to tell. And so the database Ulrich's Periodicals Directory can give you some information on journals. And so I'm going to look at Ocean and Coastal Management as an example. Ulrich's looks different to me too than the last time I looked, which I think was last semester. So Ocean and Coastal Management is a journal published by Elsevier. And if you see this in this little icon that looks like a referee's jersey, this journal here, Ocean and Coastal Management, is refereed or peer reviewed. So that's one way to tell if a journal is peer reviewed. And then sometimes you can see that there are journals that are similarly named. So that might be a good way to discover, what other journals are written on coastal management, things like that. Okay, now I'm going to talk briefly about Zotero. So like I mentioned at the beginning, Zotero is a citation management software. And again, Zotero is free, which is why I like it. So if you leave TAMUCC and go on to another institution or a job, and they don't have, Mendeley or something, you can take your library with you. The other thing about Zotero is that you can create group libraries. So as long as your co-researchers or authors have Zotero and you set them up as sharing your group library, they can have access to the same articles as well. You can organize things, which is, it's kind of similar to having folders on your desktop. But I have, my entire library, and I can add anything in here to multiple folders rather than just having it, this one PDF can only live in this one folder, that kind of thing. And then it will also, it can keep track of all the citation information that you would need, as well as you can keep notes. So, as you're reading the PDF, you can put notes into this folder. You can also add tags. So you can say, I want this article to, my tag is, first chapter of your dissertation, for example. You really want to go in depth in that. And then you can also say this article is related to this other article or something like that. So this is kind of like what Zotero looks like a little bit. And now I will show you how to put articles into your Zotero library. And then we will go from there to creating a bibliography or using Zotero to cite in Word. So if we're going to try Elsevier, it was not working the other day. So the three things you need to use Zotero, one is a Zotero account. You can just go to zotero.org and create that account. My Zotero email is TAMUCC related, but again, it doesn't have to be. You can make it a Gmail or something else. And so Zotero, you need an account. I guess you only technically need two things because you can use the web app or the desk app. So I just logged into the web app version, whereas I first showed you the desktop version. They look pretty much the same. There's kind of a more, I don't know, more like a newer feel to the web app. I'm not sure. And then there's one other difference with it, which I will get to when we look at bibliographies. But the second thing that you'll need to use Zotero, if you're going to be searching like we've been doing and saving to your Zotero library from there, which is the web extension browser. And Zotero does have it for, I believe, Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. But so if in my Zotero, let's say I want to save to this class we used Bitcoin as our search term the other day. But say I wanted to save this article into that folder. We're going to hope Elsevier plays nice. And I'm just going to click on the icon, the extension browser. So it's telling me that it did not save the full text PDF, but it did save it to that export folder, which I can rename. So it did save it, and it actually did save the PDF. So I'm not sure why it told me it did not, but so I can rename this folder. Maybe rename, oh, they call them collections. Test, and now it jumps down because it's sorted alphabetically. But in this collection of test, I see that I have it saved And if you see on this side, there's this little paperclip icon. And for some of these, there's a little blue dot, and that blue dot indicates that I do actually have the PDF saved. No, I didn't. Okay, so that's where it said it failed. But I can view the PDF. So some databases play nicer than others. My cat's trying to spill my drink. Proxy said, oh, okay. So if I try to use, so rather than the web page of Elsevier, I opened the PDF. So I have the PDF open. And now if I save it to the test collection, and now I go to Zotero, and I saved it twice now. Now if I try to open this PDF, it will open in Adobe. So Zotero is kind of like sometimes a little finicky and not super fun. But what does save me time is once I figure out how to which tab to open in order to save it. Now I have not only the PDF saved, but I have all of the information that I need to cite it and to keep track of it, right? I have the title, the author, the abstract, the publication, volume, pages, date, the DOI, URL, when I accessed it, because sometimes that helps. Like last Tuesday, I found the article. What article was that? So that can be helpful as well. So that's one way of saving it to Zotero. I showed you there from the library. Too many tabs open. I'm sorry, y'all. So from here, I could, so this one, we don't have the full text PDF, but what I can do is save the metadata or the citation information for this article. So what it will do is save it to test, but when I go to my Zotero library, I will only have the citation information, but I don't have that blue dot there. So that's that. Oh, here we go. Okay, so no. Sorry, my menu is in the way. Okay, well, I lost our quick search, but that's okay. It's 6:13. Okay, so I'm going to open up a Word doc and show you how wonderful Zotero can be when you are either doing in-text citations or if you are doing, creating a bibliography at the very end. So I have a Zotero plugin to my Word. I believe that if you don't have it automatically, once you've downloaded the Zotero desktop app, if you refresh your Word, it will often pop up. So once you've downloaded Zotero and then you restart Word, it will integrate. If you have issues, come and talk to me and we can troubleshoot for you. So sorry, my Zoom menu got in the way again. Haven't had that problem in a little bit. Okay, so if I'm, writing my article or my chapter for my dissertation, and I want to cite somebody, I'm going to go to Zotero. Silly Zoom menu. Oh, it's been a while. Go to my Zotero menu and say, I want to add or edit a citation. So, okay, in the real world, I would know what I'm citing. I'm going to cite Tozer in urban climate change in that sentence. So I can either search, okay, so first I have to pick my citation style for this document. I'm going to say APA 7th edition, please. And then I have this little Zotero box that pulls up, and here I can search for the article or the book chapter or whatever it is that I'm trying to cite. So I was going to cite Tozer, and I click on that name. And so if you want to include multiple, you're citing multiple articles, you can do that. And then hit enter, and it will do the in-text citation for you. So that can really save you a lot of time because you don't have to, okay, I'm citing this article. What was their name? What year was it? If you have that, your notes, keeping track of, you want to cite Tozer for whatever it is you want to cite Tozer for, that can really save you a lot of time. At the end, when you want to write your entire citation list or your bibliography, Zotero makes it really easy rather than copying and pasting or, writing it all out. What you can do is, okay, I have 2 of these, so I just need the first one. So I'm going to highlight that one, select shift, and then, oh, sorry, I wanted control, not shift. And no, I'm doing this wrong. Sorry, control. And then shift. I'm going to do all of these and that one, right? So select all the ones you want. I can also, another thing that you can do just to keep your library organized is I can just remove this from the collection. This will still save it in my main library, but I've taken it out of this collection or this folder of articles. So that can also save you some time too. Okay, I'm selecting all of these, highlighting all of these. I just clicked on one, shift, clicked on all of them, and then I'm going to right click. And this is where the desktop version and the app version changed a little bit because I right click in the desktop version. I'm going to select create bibliography from items. And here I have different citation styles. I can use APA, I can use Chicago, I can use MLA. If you're writing, if you're writing an article for a particular journal, they might have their own citation style. So you can see IEEE has their own, Nature has their own, but let's say I'm using MLA. I'm creating a bibliography out of this and I want to copy the information to a clipboard. So I'm going to click OK, go to my Word document and hit paste. And as you can see, it formatted them all correctly because it had, in the Zotero folder, it will organize them. How does it organize them? It looks like it's organized by date because I have that selected, but if I can organize it by creator or I can organize it by title. But when you create your bibliography, it will organize it by author's last name, which is how a biography or bibliography should be organized, right? So however you have it in Zotero, which you might not even know, like me, it will do it correctly when you copy and paste it. You can also add or edit to your bibliography using the Zotero plugin in Word as well. A couple of caveats. I'm pretty sure Zotero works with Google Docs. I'm not 100% sure on that. But through TAMUCC, you should have access to all things Microsoft. And then the other thing that professors have pointed out to me is that it's not so great with track changes. So if you submit an article and you get your peer review feedback, it might not keep track of, if you have, if you're using like footnotes or endnotes, the numbers can get wonky with track changes in Zotero. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like no system is perfect. And as you could see, Zotero is still troublesome for me as well. But yeah, so it's 6:19. We have we have 10 minutes. I could definitely continue talking about library resources or things you might come across or need to know, but I do want to give y'all the option to ask any questions. If you want me to repeat anything or show you something again, please feel free to unmute yourself or put anything in the chat. Sophia, if there's anything that you wanted me to go over that I failed to, let me know as well.
Hello, Alexa. So I have a question. Maybe this is unrelated, but are you familiar with Overleaf?
I'm sorry, Overleaf?
Yes.
I'm not.
Okay. So let me say.
Is that a citation management tool?
It's a writing. It's a LaTeX writing tool.
Gotcha.
Okay. So yeah. So actually, the reason I joined this is because I wanted to ask if you open that link, you can see that.
Okay. So TAMU offers access to Overleaf for students, faculty.
Yeah. So
okay.
there is a free version, which everybody can get, but the College Station campus, if you add your College Station email, you can get the pro features. So my question is, one, do we have this? And if we don't, is there a way to, like, I don't know who manages this, but get these pro features for TAMUCC?
That is a really good question. And it sounds like somebody else put in the chat that y'all are required to use Overleaf or LaTeX for your thesis. And so it might be a conversation that could happen between the library and the College of Graduate Studies. I don't have buying power myself, but I can definitely, run it up the ladder kind of deal.
Yeah, and I just want to step in real quick. So LaTeX, I know our science and engineering students use LaTeX to format their thesis and dissertation. I could be wrong, but I do think some of the computers in the engineering building have LaTeX software.
Okay.
And I know I talked with a student who was formatting their thesis, and I had a conversation with her about who updates the LaTeX template, and it would have to be someone in the College of Science and Engineering. So if you're looking at the LaTeX template that we have online, College of Graduate Studies can't update that template because we don't have the software. So I do believe that some of the computers in the engineering building should have LaTeX software so you're able to edit. But I think Alexa and I might be able to work together to see if we can get an answer for your question. But I do believe that some of the computers in the science and engineering building should have LaTeX software.
Okay. Yeah. And I was just trying to, because we do have some software available.
There's LaTeX right there.
Yeah, but that's for data science lab. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm not sure if what you're discussing is an extension of LaTeX, or if LaTex is, like, I'm not sure if they're connected in that way. I would just kind of assuming.
No, so basically, Overleaf is like, how can I explain it? Imagine that Overleaf is, an analogy will be Word and Google Docs. So Google Docs, you can take it everywhere, and you can save your changes, and you can share with other people. So that is what Overleaf is. And I mean, to be honest, I think this is the most important thing the library can get for students, because it's a game changer when you want to work on a research paper with multiple people. It just makes it so much easier. And this is like this is like the standard for academia in some places. So, and also if the College Station campus already has it, so I mean, might as well. Maybe we can get it.
Yes, that is the ideal. I will say,
A&M
has, College Station has more money than we do, so they have access to a lot more of these softwares than we are able to. But it does sound like, I don't know if it's College of Graduate Studies, if it's the library, or if it's the Writing Center. But it sounds like if there is a need, we can definitely bring it forward to discuss.
And we definitely would probably want to get science and engineering faculty involved, because they're the ones that would know the software. So I'm definitely not a software human. I don't know, Alexa, you work with science and engineering teams, so you might be a little more versed in that kind of software, as where I'm just like PDF and Microsoft Word, where I kind of live my life. So definitely a conversation amongst multiple departments on campus for sure.
And I mean, I am willing to die on this hill. Like, if you want, I will create a presentation for someone, and I'm sorry if I overtook the presentation, but this is what I wanted to ask. And
Sure.
Yeah, and
Thank you for bringing that up. That's a great topic of discussion, and I think something that Alex and I will probably discuss after this at a later date, and we'll see how we can potentially move forward on having discussions about it.
Yeah, and if you also want to ask your, if it's your thesis advisor or your faculty mentor in your college or in your department, and say, hey, if you want us to use this, ask the university to pay for it, and they can also voice that need as well. Because Sophia and I are two people, but if faculty are requiring this of you, they can also ask for that need as well.
And like Alexa, okay. I do not have buying power either, so I'm just a voice.
So I can send an email to the program coordinator and then CC you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Awesome.
Sure. That was a great, thank you for sharing that. That's always something that I think any of us would like to know is what kind of software our students need and how can we make it more efficient for you to do research and collaboratively work together. So thank you for that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments for Alexa or myself? Okay, yeah, I would love to have an editing team as well on the LaTeX template, but I don't know if anyone else, I know y'all two are in the science and engineering field, but basically LaTeX is a software that the College of Graduate Studies doesn't have access to. And the limited knowledge I have of LaTeX software is that you put in all this data, all this information, numbers, equations, and basically what it churns out is a beautiful document, right? So it's going to look like a PDF document after you've put in all of this really great information. And as our templates change over time, you would, the template in LaTeX would need to change as well. But the College of Graduate Studies doesn't have the software or the resources to change the LaTeX template. So it would have to be someone in the College of Science and Engineering to update the template because we just don't have the software or really the background to change a LaTeX document. So we've reached out and my associate dean, Dr. Oliver, knows about the issue. So we're hoping that we can work with someone in the college to make sure that the template is friendly for y'all to use.
Yeah, and I want to say, I can help with that. I mean, maybe, I don't know what is the problem, but in Overleaf, you can create templates and you can polish them online. So, I mean, I can help you with that if, I don't know. I mean, I use Overleaf a lot, so it's not that difficult, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely might be reaching out to you as soon as, we're updating templates now, and it's an ongoing process. So I know I'm working with the associate dean to make sure that we have those things for our students in a decent amount of time before they submit their thesis and dissertation. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's my email. So
sure.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so I'll have to drop the call now, but thank you so much.
Sure. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to let us know. We're here and happy to help. Any other questions? No?
If you do in the future, you can always email me or Sophia or any of my colleagues at the library. And I apologize for the animal interruptions this evening.
That's okay. You couldn't hear mine, but mine was yelling at me too. So